You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power in the truth. And we believe the truth will set you free. Good morning, Melody. How are you today?
And good morning to you. Good morning, listeners. And I guess you are finally feeling a little bit better because, how do I know? How do I know? You're singing.
I was singing.
You're singing.
So
a good sign. So a good sign.
I get my little old staples out Thursday afternoon, so hopefully I can actually start the good healing part of the process, or the hard healing part of the process with all the physical therapy and everything I'm going to do to try to get my elbow to be in full function.
Good. So it's good to hear you singing again.
All right.
Kind of like hearing spring and birds. It's like the birds are beginning to sing.
We saw the robins this morning.
Maybe not quite the same.
All right.
And I'm just teasing.
You better be teasing. Be careful. I'll do my Sandy Patty impersonation for you.
Well, we had the stock markets are down this morning, not big. The Dow is down, triple digits. S&P is down a few points. We'll see how it ends up during the day. But the headline that I found interesting, just as we were ready to come on to the air, South Korean cryptocurrency official was found dead at home. He was head of an economic policy coordination at the Office for Government Policy Coordination, and was found dead at his home. The police assumed he suffered a heart attack while sleeping. Sure. And his colleagues also raised the possibility that stress following the pressure from crypto-related duties led to his death. There's been, a lot of these governments are fighting against these cryptocurrencies. They're writing, they aren't accepting them. They're not recognizing them as because it does put competition to their own currencies and so forth. And I do believe South Korea, they were stepping up its scrutiny of Bitcoin and other these cryptocurrencies late last year. They also enacted a ban in late January on anonymous trading accounts. Officials did dial back a little bit comments that they might shut down the exchanges where high demand often caused these currencies to trade at higher prices than at other major global exchanges. So it's kind of interesting.
It is.
Kind of.
Yeah, right.
I'm not certainly no conspiracy theory here or anything like that, but, it's kind of interesting considering what we have seen in the crypto markets and so forth, the rise and disputes and the theft and the hacking, and it's all kinds of things are going on. So kind of interesting, and there was I see the 10-year yield is beginning to move once again. I believe this morning it was also up to 290. Also, the headline news, Mueller is unveiling new charges in the Russian probe. So we'll have to see what those new charges are. That just came out. And
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I saw this yesterday afternoon. It was Mueller's indictment may have been plagiarized from media sources. What he had claimed with these indictments wasn't anything new in Russia. They'd been talking about it for a long, long time. But it said the special counsel, Robert Mueller, announced Friday the indictments against the Russians, of course. And we know that nothing's going to happen. They're not even in, they're not even in the United States. They're not going to get them to the United States. There's never anything going to happen to these guys. But Mueller's indictment of 13 Russian operatives at 3 Russian entities are using social media to sow discord in the 2016 presidential election. But anyway, this actually appeared in a news feed a year ago or so, and anyway, so it's he's in a little bit of, I doubt he's in any hot water, but they think he plagiarized the indictment from another source, which I thought was kind of funny. It's been out there all this time. I was laughing when they came out with the indictments because of the smirk on some of their faces. It was like, it's almost like they had to do this to get the others out of trouble with all these memos that are going around. And do I think that the Russians did that? Yeah, probably so. But they didn't spend near as much money on social media as some of the others did trying to and the other part that strikes me kind of funny is that the conservatives that were all complaining about social media blocking their posts and such, if they were conservative, saying they couldn't post that, or it would be reported and taken down and deleted. And yet the Russians, they could post whatever they wanted and got away with it. But most of that was done after the election to stir the discord. And then this one, which I really thought was funny, was Michael Moore. He participated in one of those anti-Trump rallies that was allegedly organized by the Russians. So was he a willing participant or just a useful idiot? And I said, well, I'm not so sure about useful, but he was an idiot because he's just crazy.
Yeah, he certainly is. And, I wanted to say what it was an attorney that worked for a law firm was charged from Mueller this morning by making false statements to federal authorities. Alex Van
That's interesting.
Z1,
Spit it out, girl.
Schwan. The Schwan. Alexander Schwan was charged February 16th at a federal court as lying to investigators about conversations related to a report that he had helped prepare on the trial of the Ukrainian politician Yulia Tymoshenko. Van der Schwan was charged with a criminal information, which typically precedes a guilty plea, and he was identified on his LinkedIn page as associate in the London office of Skadden, Slate, Meaghan and Flom. Was questioned regarding the firm's work in 2012 on behalf of the Ukraine Ministry of Justice. So allegedly he lied. Right.
Just said that.
Yeah, I know.
They go. Well, I really think it's just more distractions. It's going to be interesting to watch how it turns out. But I think the indictments of these 13 Russians is a distraction. And they immediately said, no, Americans were involved. Well, I think they were trying to get Hillary Clinton and the DNC and some of these others that they know have been colluding with the Russians prior to. And, of course, the uranium one, I think they are going to go after that particular crime. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think we need. Never mind. I won't say what I was going to say, but it's amazing to me that the American people are putting up with all this.
What's really interesting is because there's Facebook. There was a big headline out in an article. Facebook must make sure foreign powers are not hacking the 2018 elections, and I'm thinking to myself, do people even get? And I'm going to go back to finances, and I'm going to go back to our personal lives.
Right.
We put so much on the Internet. I mean, we're giving them so much information about ourselves, for those who purchase anything on the Internet. And when people go online and purchase gold and silver, and for competition's sake, that's what I'm being forced also to sell coins online. It's the way of the world.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, it's a sad state of affairs that it just doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter if people are hacked. It doesn't matter that they know everything about you. I heard on this morning, or I read an article about automobiles in the next how many years that you'll get in if you went online and maybe did an inquiry on something. Well, you're going to get into your car, and where your little GPS screen is, a commercial's going to pop up about the product that you virtually had, went online to inquire about. So your automobile is going to become an advertising unit.
Mm.
And I'm thinking to myself, it just can't be.
Well, everything is, and it has been for several years. If you look up something, say you want to buy a new piece of furniture, or you're looking for a dress for a wedding or a pair of shoes, all of a sudden that is all over your computer. Everybody knows what you've been looking for. It's all over your computer. I've been helping a girlfriend. She's getting married in April. We've been looking for clothes and looking for this and looking for that. Stuff's all over my computer now.
But, I mean, it's going to be in your automobile to where they're going to throw advertisements to you. And, you think, well, maybe when you're an adult, you can deal with. But we got these young kids. You start driving at 16, and it's our world is truly nothing else but just consumerism and buy, and it's just bizarre. And anyway, it's that's why we're so distracted with so many things, and we don't. Goldman Sachs came out today, and they warn about the U.S. spending is in uncharted territory, and we are. U.S. spending is in uncharted territory. Yeah, this is coming from Goldman Sachs. Yeah,
that's serious.
They're the problem. They're part of the problem.
For sure they are.
But they're coming out and saying, hey, this is. So it truly amazes me, and can we go on a little bit longer? Maybe. But I think you're going to see some major changes coming in 2018. And they'll keep it quiet. They'll keep the distractions until the election. But after the election, it's going to, if they can keep it quiet until the elections this year. I saw where Mr. Trump has backed Romney.
I was going to say they're best friends now. They're all buddies. So it's really good. It's nice to see them come back together. Until election, and then it'll be Katie bar the door.
Well, I mean, he did interview Romney for the was it the chief of staff position?
Well, they don't know, but he did hire Romney's niece.
Right.
In a position, and it could have been some of that he was talking to him about. They don't really know, but he did interview him for whatever it was, and they got pretty nasty in the campaign, and I thought it was totally uncalled for on Romney's side. I really did. It amazes me that all these people hate President Donald Trump, but when he was billionaire Donald Trump, they all wanted his money. They all wanted to come to him whenever they were running for an office or needed a donation here or there. They came to him, and now he's the dirtbag,
Well, we have a guest today.
We do. I'm excited about this. Mm-hmm.
We have Anita Untersee. She's going to join us after the break, and we're going to talk about their project that they've been working on for many, many years, and how you'll be able to sign up for it. And we talked a little bit about it yesterday, and you'll be able to go to my website, dgscoins.com, and sign up for the weekly newsletter that comes out. And then come Friday, we will after all the signatures and stuff, we'll gather and send it out, and you'll be able to listen to it on the weekend. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. I hear we're going into a break. Anita Untersee will be joining us
when we come back. So we're going to hold off on phone calls because we want to talk about this project. All right? And you're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann, and we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Have you seen the Left Behind movies? Have you read the Left Behind fictional book series? Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. Because they see the world stage shaping to fulfill what they have been led to believe is sound biblical interpretation, a Left Behind rapture scenario, this false view of prophecy is reinforced in the mind, not only of its adherents, but also includes those who have been merely exposed to the specific media. Is it possible that false prophecy can be fulfilled? The rapture theories have always been in dispute. Pre-trib, mid-trib, and post-trib disputes have risen up in exclusively evangelical circles of recent history, so that when true believers don't suddenly disappear, this element will easily go by the wayside when all see a new Jewish temple begin to be built. Will this be part of the great delusion that will come upon the whole earth? It seems that this great prophetic delusion has already overcome practically the entire American evangelical and Christian world. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. To learn more, visit crosstheborder.org. That's CROSS, crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and we do have a guest, and I'm going to let Melody introduce Anita, and we're going to talk about what's going on with her project.
Well, I'm real excited to have Anita Untersee joining us this morning. She's the executive producer of Revelation Dawn of Global Government, and it's been a long project, a very worthy project, and I would like to welcome her to the program. Good morning, Anita.
Good morning, Melody and Beth. How is everybody?
Good morning. We're doing great.
And we're so excited to have you here. And let's get started right away. What prompted you and Chuck, your husband, to take on such a huge project? What motivated you? What moved you?
Well, Chuck and I were a producer-director team for about 20 years, and we are from Texas, but at the time, those 20 years, we were working in Los Angeles. And so it's kind of the place to be for film. So we worked with different clients, ad agencies, mostly clients like Disney, Ford, American Airlines, Apple, Chevy, U.S. Army, and so on. And we traveled all over. We did all kinds of different commercials. And Chuck's the director, and so he would a lot of times he would come up with creative, and I would do the background work like managing the crews, the equipment, film budgets, and things like that. So we had a pretty broad experience with that medium, and we did some really fun things. Some of the more memorable projects took us to the lava fields in Hawaii, shooting for a coffee company. We went to Colorado for snow footage of cars. We went to Mexico. I spent most of the time sick. I don't do well in foreign countries, but Chuck did all the work there. We shot for the Army and also the Air Force at Fort Benning. The Army was in Fort Benning, and did some Civil War things, dancing. I was dancing around in a hoop skirt. That all sounds really great, but most of it was sitting through really long client meetings and planning budgets and hiring crew and managing the budget and that type of thing, as well as being a mom, and now I'm a grandmother of 8 grandchildren.
Oh,
so,
congratulations.
We have, and they keep saying, how come you're still working? But when you find out
I get that too.
Some of these things, and it keeps you busy, and they think, our kids think that they would like us to be around more, but probably they're happy that we're out there with the cause. And so we were doing all that, and then we decided to come back to Texas and stop with the commercial world. It's a real rat race, and it's really a young person's game, and the whole agency business started to change. And so we came back to Texas, and we thought we were going to just take it easy, and then 9/11 happened. And when that happened, we didn't really know that much about what was going on. Chuck was already starting to collect a lot of information, and being old school, he was printing articles and putting them in notebooks. And he had 3 notebooks, big 3-ring binders, stuffed full of paper, trying to explain to people that things were not what they seemed, and the stories that we were getting were not, from the media, were not the true story. I mean, everybody listening has gone through that transition, I'm sure. And everybody's in a different place in their journey. And during 9/11, Chuck and I were kind of in different places, you might say. He was really, he's always been kind of an activist and sort of going against the grain. He has no problem expressing his opinion, whether people want to hear it or not. So he was pressing these notebooks on everybody we knew, and we were getting more and more ostracized from, the family and from any kind of parties or anything like that. We were just, nobody wanted to have us there because all we talked about was, things are not what you think. It was like maybe someone who's just converted to Christianity, just has to tell everybody. And so after the 9/11 situation, at that point, I was still thinking, with the Patriot Act, I was still thinking, well, I have nothing to hide. Why should I care if, they would be checking us or something like that. I didn't understand all the implications that went behind the privacy, data collection and all that was already going on, and also the storyline of what happened, who attacked us. I don't know, where were you two when that happened? Were you already aware and realized, this is a huge false flag?
I was working for Derry Brownfield, who was another talk show host at the time.
Right.
And so I knew, it was kind of there's a lot of aha moments, when you realize that we're not really living in the world we thought we were, And so I remember that day very vividly, as most people do, but it's, I remember exactly where I was. I remember exactly watching it on the news feed as the Missouri Net had the televisions and everything on in that area of the building. And we didn't have that where we were, but they did. And they were only a few steps away. But, yeah, go ahead, Melody.
Well, I was in the gold and silver business for quite a few years before 9/11, so, we kind of knew. But I also know the very first person who claimed that 9/11 was an inside job, was a false flag. He died about 2 weeks later. So he was the very first voice And he was no longer with us a couple of weeks later. So, it kind of, you begin to realize just how big and everything is. So
it's not all what we see.
No, not at all. And as this whole project has unfolded, I've gotten, really far into it now. And it can be discouraging to realize that the stories that we're being told are all lies. And, of course, the media is all complicit, and they are all part of this secret society, Council on Foreign Relations and all that. And so, fortunately, we have the Internet, so we can, shows like this where we can, at the moment, speak freely. I don't know how much longer we'll have that, but that's our only source, really, is to get the truth out.
So what was the aha moment?
What was it?
Your aha moment. Uh-huh.
For the Revelation
movie
series.
Well, 9/11 was 2001, and then we moved back to Texas in 2004, and so it took a while. It was like 3 years. By the time we were back in Texas, I started to see more, and we thought Texas would be really free, and of course it's not. It's just like all the other states. Texas is a slave to the federal government also. They're all signed on. And we do have some freedoms here, but, gun rights are very big in Texas, so, that's a blessing. But, and from California, that was ridiculous. And we always had a hard time with authority there. So I really consider, for me, I consider it to be 9/11 because that's where my eyes were really begun to be open. And then it just grew from there little by little. But we met Joyce Riley, and she, of course, now has passed. But she was a big voice in the liberty movement. And, of course, Alex Jones, too, he's in Texas. He's in Austin, which is near us. He was a big proponent for 9/11. It was an inside job, and he's taken a lot of heat for it. But I have to give Joyce and Alex credit for, just getting the truth out there and some of the things that.
Now the movie isn't just about 9/11, is it? I mean, it's
not about
it encompasses a lot more. Okay,
we don't say anything
that was just
about
your
9/11
awakening.
because,
okay,
right. 9/11 is not even in the movie.
Okay.
The movie Revelation really is about the raging war against national sovereignty by world government, and the title of it, Revelation, has the double meaning. Revelation is, of course, the last book in the Bible, and it's a prophecy about the end of the world. And there's a lot of symbolism in it, but basically it does prophesy that there will be ultimately a one world government, a one world money system, one world religion, and all these other things that are coming to pass now and have really been. I mean, this battle has happened from the beginning of time. There's been the forces of evil and evil men that want to be the king of the world. So that has never really stopped. But because we have a republic and we have a constitution that declares in our Declaration of Independence, the second sentence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this is the single most radical statement in Western political thought in at least 2,000 years. This is referring back to the Creator, the idea that we are given our rights by a Creator, not by a government, and that we are in charge of the government. So I guess my point in saying that about the Republic is our Constitution and our Republic is the only thing, and our national sovereignty is really the only thing standing in the way of a world government. So it's of critical importance that we the people are the government, and it is our duty to ensure that our freedoms are upheld and that our government is our elected officials are doing what they're supposed to do, and that is defending our Constitution.
Yeah.
Of course, that's not what's happening.
Those Americans, those stubborn, gun-toting, free-speaking, deplorables. And there are a few of us left. And
there are a lot of us left. And
we're the only thing that's keeping them at bay, even as it is now, which isn't a good deal. And the global government has been an issue for a long time, and for a long time people have claimed that Agenda 21 was a conspiracy theory, and you can go print
right.
a 500 and some 600-page document. It's so many things that are being used against the American people, and particularly rural America, because they need the land. So they're doing everything they can to take the land. I'm sure this is no surprise to you at this point in time that that's exactly what's going on with all the mandates and license and permits and EPA and all these alphabet bureaucracies that we have to deal with. It's all a part of a plan to take the land, and that's what is unique to America, is that we actually supposedly own our land. And
yeah, right. And if we didn't have property taxes, we'd be in a lot better situation there.
That's my pet peeve, so let's not get started on that. Let's get back to the movie, though.
Yeah, let's not, because they're due now.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the...
Excuse me.
Let's get back to your project.
Okay, well, the movie really is on a level that explains in a fast-moving narrative this situation about the war against national sovereignty, and it explains in quick cuts all the different areas where our sovereignty is being attacked. And it is, like I said, most of your listeners are aware of all these things. If they've been listening to you, they know this. But they know a lot of people, just like when Chuck was passing around those notebooks, there are people who are people that don't want to hear what you're trying to tell them. And this film is a way for people to, patriots to share it with their family and friends who don't understand what they're so upset about. So it's a modern day Paul Revere, and it's a way media is a great way to, independent media is a great way to share a message.
Oh, definitely it is.
You have Charlie Daniels. Can you tell about the some of the folks that are appearing in the?
Well, we really have. There are 4 co-stars. Charlie Daniels is our narrator, and we found him because he has a soapbox, and he's a very Americana figure, and he's not totally aware of everything, but he's pretty good. And so he is our spokesman in terms of he brings a lot of Americana into it, and also the Christian aspect of that we need our Creator really to guide us, because on our own we're pretty weak and frail, and our the Bible really is the basis of the Constitution as well, and government. I can't tell you exactly where, but government was a lot of the precepts of the government we have comes from the early government setup, I think, with the Jews. Maybe one of y'all know all the detail there. And that is also not in the movie, so I'm maybe getting off course. But so Charlie is one of the stars. Mark Collins, who plays George Washington, also is a star, and he's a very exact likeness of George Washington, and he just does an excellent job talking about what things were like during his time frame. So there's some historical reenactments in the movie with, Washington. Special Ops General Jerry Boykin is in the film, and he speaks about Marxism and socialism and how incrementally we've moved toward that. It was pretty obvious during Obama's administration, but it's still the same now. Pretty much the same.
Well, that's why we're seeing such a fight, such a hate rage that's going on, because they're not going to let go of this deep state. They're not going to let go of this global governance.
It's really very, very clear that the Republicans and the Democrats are the same, one and the same at the top.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, we have different platforms, and, we're just thanking God every day that Trump is in there. I think it was totally unplanned, and at least on a human level, that he got in there, and he is making changes for the good. And though he's not the perfect candidate, but I don't believe that he is a part of this any of these secret societies that are in charge of the world. And I think he wants to do the right thing. He's not perfect, but he really did kind of throw a wrench in things, and we really have
putting it lightly.
Yeah, we have to do as much as we can in the short term we have him, whether it's one term or 2 terms or half a term or whatever he winds up serving. After that, it's going to be a free-for-all, and we have this really short reprieve to get the word out and educate as many people as possible. And we know that with the number of votes that Trump got, that there is at least half the country, I don't know what the numbers are, but at least half, that don't want what we were being served up, and they know that the media is lying to them. So we just have to get them educated to a deeper level, and that's what this movie Revelation can do, or has the power to do, if we can just get it out to a great majority of people.
So this really explores, and I've watched both, and basically you've put them all together for viewing, for free viewing. We're going to talk a little bit about that when we come back from the break. We have a couple minutes yet before we go into the break. But they're just excellent. And, sometimes people don't get the value of videos and the power of the media to help people understand. Sometimes we have a tendency to preach. We lecture, trying to help people understand. I had dinner last night with a family member, and somehow the Federal Reserve came up, and he made this, and he made this, and he made this statement that there was a common person that we know that made the statement that the Federal Reserve was a corporation owned by the Rothschilds, and he thought that statement was insane. I says, well,
really?
Well,
wow.
How about this? And he actually was, I didn't know. He said, I had no idea. So now, of course, I'm sending him just little things, so he can read. It's not coming from me. It's coming from something else, another media area that he can respect. And I think this is what your movie does. I think this is what you've accomplished. You've brought this from different groups of folks with a story, and I think it was just done in such good taste, and it's great for viewing and sharing.
I think something that, people don't understand is this global governance. It's presented to the American people, right now to be a nationalist is a dirty word. To be sovereign is a dirty word. They don't understand where we came from because they're not being taught. We do have the dumbed-down America, and that is by design. And even now with what happened in Florida, and I know you're aware of this, Melody, and I'm certain that you are too, Anita, but the two young teenagers that are coming out and speaking, they have been groomed by some anti-Trump people into what to say and how to say it, and they want the guns taken away, and these two are going to refuse to meet with President Donald Trump as he is meeting with these youngsters. What other president has ever said that he would meet with these youngsters? Nobody that I can remember when we've had a tragedy. So it's scary that they can take our young people, and we know this has happened in the past in other countries where they take the young people and they groom them to what they want them to be. We're heading into a break. Again, we're going to hold off on the phone calls because we want to discuss Revelation movies with Anita, and you're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann, and all three of us girls. We're going to be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed. It has been purchased. It has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Today with Anita Undersea, and we're talking about the Revelation movies that they have produced, and they're going to be offering them, am I correct, for the next 10 days, free viewing, and so we wanted to talk a little bit more about the specifics of the direction of the movies.
Okay, well, as we were talking about before the break, the movie Revelation, it's actually Revelation Dawn of Global Government is the whole title. But starring Charlie Daniels, Special Ops General Jerry Boykin, Alex Jones, and Mark Collins as George Washington. And some of the areas that we talk about that are all a part of the global governance idea are Marxism and socialism, the role of the church as leaders. Chuck Baldwin and two other pastors talk about the Black Robe Regiment, which was historically, and still today is a group of pastors who really led the revolution because they understood the importance of our Constitution, and that at that time they wanted freedom from the crown. And then we talk about Agenda 21, which is really the UN agenda. It's now Agenda 2030, and it's a published agenda, and it is interspersed into every nook and cranny of our government, all the way down to the local level. It's not like there's an Agenda 21 office in your county seat, but there's different names for it. One of the Patriot greats who is now passed on is Joan Bion, and she details that along with Michael Shaw, who has been fighting this battle for his whole career. And Michael Kaufman has also passed on.
Henry Lamb.
Sam Musty. Right. Henry's not in it, but
no. But he was before Michael Shaw. I mean, he was the one really instrumental in coming in, and actually Mike Kaufman, Dr. Kaufman, was one of the first ones that mapped this out. Right, and fought really big battles to keep some of this out. We talk about the importance of the Second Amendment. Gotcha.
Stuart Rhodes of Oath Keepers is in there talking about that. Ted Nugent pops in, and he's kind of a wild man, and he talks about it, and makes it clear that it's not just guns are not just for hunting. This is to protect us against foreign and domestic intervention. And so it was written into our Constitution for a reason. And we talk about our borders, how important it is to have borders. If you're going to be a sovereign nation, then you have to protect your borders. The Islamic threat is, Jerry Boykin talks about that, along with an ex-Muslim Brotherhood member, Kamal Salim, who came over here as a plant, a sleeper cell, and got in a serious car accident, and he was tended to by Christian people who wound up converting him. They were just so kind to him that he started to turn away from his upbringing. I mean, he was raised, he was born into a Muslim, Sunni Muslim, and that was his life until he understood about our country. And then we talk about the Federal Reserve. G. Edward Griffin explains that, and G. Edward Griffin also explains collectivism and the difference. Most people think we have a democracy, but he explains about the democracy, the difference between a democracy and a republic. Right, and Gerald Celente talks about economic collapse and what will be happening across the world, and that would be all part of prophecy too, that there just forcing us into collapse will, for one thing, that's a great way to get rid of our sovereignty, because people will be crying for peace, and the UN, set up as a peace, so-called peacekeepers.
They've been the opposite.
And they're the exact opposite. But so economic collapse, privacy and data collection. We talk about with Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and a couple other people. It's become much more clear about data collection. When we first met Catherine, she was talking about, when you sign up for a grocery store card, you're really allowing them to see everything you buy so they can market to you, but they can also build profiles on you, and we all know now that is happening on the highest levels. Common Core and education, educating the next generation. We're always just one generation away from losing our freedom, and we're, two or three generations now from any kind of common sense in this government and in this country. So we have to each of us have to take a stand in one area or another. You can't jump in and do all of these things, but these are all the different areas that are covered. We talk about the 10th Amendment, which states rights, states theoretically, can be separate, but because of them taking federal money, it really kind of dampens our rights. And then, of course, our Constitution and why it's not compatible with world government. So all those things are crammed in, and along with about 40 patriot rock stars. Some of them you would know their names, others you may not know their names, but these are people who have spent their lives researching and speaking and going around and trying to educate people in their different areas. So putting it all together in one place is a high-tech Paul Revere, and it's a great way to spread this message of freedom and liberty. And one of the things that we did with Revelation was, our goal really was to get it into theaters and get it out that way. And we did get it into theaters, but the problem is theaters are really set up for the Hollywood studios, and it's a studio system, really. Independent films, they'll let them in occasionally, but the schedules are really booked around the Hollywood propaganda media. So we quickly discovered, between that and the fact that it takes millions, literally millions of dollars to advertise properly if you're going the theater route, that it just was, even though we got great reviews and people in the Houston area that got to see it in theaters, and it's wonderful to see on a big screen, it's just such a daunting task to do something like that we decided that a free movie screening that is shared among patriots, and then we have 3 more films that we made that are offered for sale, and so that's the way we can monetize the free screening. The best way to do it is really just word of mouth and spreading it among friends. It's not a get-rich scheme for anybody, but we can't rely on the controlled media to spread this kind of message. This is not something that the global government guys want out there. So so far we haven't been a big enough threat that I don't think that they've shut us off, but we decided that our best route would be to go.
Before we go, Nate, Before we go, Anita, we are out of time. I want to encourage the listeners, and we'll talk about this tomorrow, dgscoins.com, dgscoins.com. Go to the weekly newsletter and sign up. Put your email address in there, and we will be sending out the links later on in the week. But we're going to be gathering emails and so forth, and so you can view for free. And then I also encourage you to, purchase the remaining videos that you can watch and help spread the message. Anita, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and Beth.
Thank you.
We are out of time.
And we're playing the song free.
Yeah, we'll talk to you in a little bit, Anita.
Thank you, Anita.
And,
thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody for listening. And thank y'all for having me.
For liberty we speak and we stand. Melody, have a great afternoon. And
you too, Beth.
Tomorrow morning, everybody. Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.